once it's YouTube that's running a bit slow, but anyway, it's uploading now. But once again, ciao, hi, hey, hola, guys. Amigos or guys, which one you prefer, please let me know. Anyway, I've got to admit, I was a bit nervous about making this video, and I've been struggling to motivate myself to get around to it. I did one upload, and I was thinking to not upload. Maybe some days I should just focus on my writing and that kind of thing. But the reason why I'm a bit nervous is because I, just like I did about a minute or so, or just under a minute ago or whatever, but I fear like repeating myself too much. So, and I worry whether people actually enjoy my content and whether I'm doing a good job or whatever. So I have been struggling to motivate myself. I really struggled in the I did going to sleep at like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock even probably, by the time I actually managed to sleep, and not getting much sleep at night didn't really help. But I really struggled to get out of bed. I didn't get out of bed properly till about 3 o'clock. Sorry for that one. Hopefully people won't judge me too harshly out there. But yeah, I've only probably been awake for about 3 hours, but it feels a lot long. I mean, I kept going up again, waking up and then going back to sleep, but sort of disturbed sleep. But on a serious note, but harmless. Harmless as a brush, as I say, whatever. Or probably only I say that. Anyway, I'm going way off topic, I know, sorry. Way off track. But yeah, so I've not been awake for that long, but it feels a bit longer because I suppose I kept getting up and going back to sleep and waking up and going back to sleep, which is really annoying. I wish I could just sleep through and then wake up refreshed and ready and not so tired and not between sleep. But actually, really, I love to sleep as little as possible and then be able to do as much writing and make as much videos as possible, having a creative room and things like that. But yeah, I'm wary about like repeating too many ideas. But I thought I'm just going to crack on with it and hope to do the best job I can do, as I normally like to do on these videos. Yeah, I probably overshare information, but yeah, yesterday somehow the time just completely eluded me, and I didn't manage to go for a walk. I didn't leave my house and go for a walk till about 11:30, and then my cat came with me, and then he didn't go back in the house, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, I don't know what happened yesterday either, but I only got round to part 1 for whatever reason of the Tuesday's plans, but hopefully I'll finish those on Thursday. Maybe I'll just on Thursday I might not do any more. I might not do the Thursday version because it depends what time I wake up, how much energy I have, and whatever. But I would love to sort out my paperwork and writing and write my ideas. I have these strange patterns of writing on different notebooks and all that kind of thing. But I'm going to try to talk less about myself and more about A.D.H.D.ers. I'm going to use the term A.D.H.D.ers to mean people with ADHD. I'm not the only one who uses that term, but I don't know if everyone knows that term. But here goes. These are pointers number 1 to 10. So number 1, from a selfish point of view, again, I do worry about repeating myself, but I would love to see what ADHDers could do to help Italian football, or whatever you want to call it, become world class. I'm thinking because it's a Wednesday, like world class Wednesdays. But yeah, what they could do to help Italian football to win again with their skills, talents, and abilities. ADHDers within Italy itself, and from the diaspora, the Italian diaspora, and also ADHDers more generally, Italy could host its own miniature World Cups for those with ADHD and like autism and dyslexia and other conditions to play miniature matches against each other and also against Italians, which hopefully will help with practice. But I hope that ADHD strengths will help to improve Italian football with creative ideas, out of the box thinking, high levels of energy, and that kind of thing. And I suppose when ADHDers put their mind to it, they can do lots of great things, I'm sure. And if they're weak at school, they can have football as an outlet. It took way too long to go through the intro, so as usual, I'm behind schedule. But also, I love to, from a less selfish point of view, I love to support poets with ADHD, but also talk about how ADHD affects poetry. I guess, again, people with ADHD probably, if they don't like something, they're not so good at it. But if they do like it, they can really excel. So I'm sure lots of people with ADHD really struggle with poetry, but there's probably some great poets. It'd be great to find out about any poets with ADHD and support how to help more people with ADHD get into poetry perhaps and overcome their weaknesses. Point number two, I'd love for ADHDers to talk about how ADHD affects them and that kind of thing, but also artists, support artists with ADHD. And once again, I guess it can go either way, because like for some people having the attention span and focus to do art, it might be a real big problem. But for those ADHDers who love art, I guess like anything else, as I say, ADHDers, when they love something, I'm sure they can really hyper focus and do really well. And then there's overlapping conditions like you could have dyspraxia, which affects your coordination, which I believe I have, which might affect art in an adverse way. But then you can have autism, or you could have autism instead, like you could be ADHD or have ADHD and dyslexia. And there's probably some good artists, I'm sure, with ADHD. Number 3, I go through this acronym PAW, P-A-W, and I mentioned it in the past. Again, talking about repeating myself, but for those who might not have heard it before, but poets, artists, and writers, in this case with ADHD. So ADHD as poets, artists, and writers, and how more could be helped to be poets, artists, and actual writers, and how ADHD affects poetry, art, and writing, and that kind of thing. Number 4, controversial one I normally say. I think I did mention it on Monday as well. But again, going on my alliterations, I'd love for A.D.H.D.ers to be against war and see how many A.D.H.D.ers out there can campaign against war. Once again, I know there's many weaknesses, I'm sure, that A.D.H.D.ers have, like especially in the education system and in terms of getting and certainly keeping jobs and that kind of thing, and avoiding getting in trouble and things like that. But again, once people with ADHD fix their mind onto things, I'm sure they can do great stuff, as I say, as I said a few minutes ago. But I'm sure if ADHDers go against war and challenge war together, they can do a great job at tackling war. So it would be great to have ADHDers in the anti-war movement, in my opinion. But I'd love to know from ADHDers out there and all ADHDers out there, people with ADHD and triple autism, what your opinions are politically or whatever, and I guess try and agree to disagree, so not have an animosity. But yeah, I suppose with the energy levels that a lot of people usually have, I guess it wouldn't be so good to have, which I disagree with in politics anyway. Number 5, I'd love to know about the ambitions of ADHDers and maybe what holds them back and what could help them to achieve. So ADHDers, again, who want to get into poetry, art, writing, or whatever it might be, like what could help them to overcome some of their challenges and help them to achieve their aims and ambitions. And I think that's what I'm looking for, ambition. Help with ADHD ambition. Aspirations, ambitions, aims, or whatever, that kind of thing. Number 6, I would say what ADHDs could do for Attainable. Number 7, and also for Celtic, and I guess for sports generally. I guess I have a slight soft spot for LCFC, Leicester City Football Club, because I grew up in Leicester and also in Leicestershire, and also because it's very diverse. I suppose it's similar with Birmingham, I guess, to an extent. Although they could be Midlands rivals, but because they're very diverse, I guess. I joke about being mixed race, like I say, I'm mixed up and whatnot. But also talking about, I think like ADHD and work ethic, but also how ADHDs can avoid burnout and work together to make life easier for themselves by networking together. And I guess sports generally, like could be like in India, there could be ADHDers who can do well at cricket and hockey. I often think like, so for instance, if again people don't do well at school, an outlet could be to be good at sports. So in a country like say in Italy, for instance, if someone with ADHD or a related condition or whatever is struggling in school and people pick on them, then they can say actually football or sport generally. In Italy, I'd love it to be football specifically. Could be an outlet to say, oh, they're good at something. And also in India, it could be cricket or hockey, because I suppose there's a competition, you've got to be really good academically. Stop mumbling there. I don't know if you heard that. Sounded like a pig noise. Probably look a bit like a pig, but anyway, sorry. Yeah, as I say, not talking so much about myself, but yeah, people with ADHD could have, as I say, basically put it simply, have sport as an outlet, and hopefully that will mean their peers treat them better. The only problem is, I guess, one negative side to that is not everyone can make it as a sports star, and even those who do, I guess, I think like people in, I think the movie industry, modeling industry, like obviously actors, actresses, models, musicians in many cases, generally speaking, and people in sports and other industries, which I'm not going to talk about right now. I think they have a lot. They have something in common, which is when you age, you're no longer at the same value. Like a business person, I think, should make more money over time. But like a lot of people who don't have a good financial education, I'm not a big fan of academia, but those who don't have any financial or academic things to lean back on, a lot of footballers go bust or have problems with their mental health, like when their career's over because they don't know what to do next. I guess I think hopefully they get more support nowadays, and it's a lot better. But yeah, like the saying has been, or people like say, "Oh, you were the former footballer," and it can lead to a lot of depression. And also, they buy like lots of houses, cars, and they all want to spend a lot of money on women and things like that. So they can go bust. So the reason why I mentioned about like again, not everyone can be a sports star. So I guess there needs to be different outlets that you can have for work if sports or whatever doesn't work out. But I do think sport could be an outlet for people with related conditions. But what do you think? I'd love to know. I suppose with dyspraxia it's really difficult because most dyspraxic people struggle with sport and things that require coordination. So it can affect people differently. Like one or two racing drivers have dyslexia, but with dyspraxia, it makes things really difficult, coordination and things like that. So it'd be hard to see that. But yeah, moving on. As I say, I'd love to know some of the weaknesses as well as the strengths, and like negatives and positives as well. Both sides of the story about ADHD and people sharing experiences, and hopefully how to improve their situation. Number 9, as I say, I'd love to find out any works historically and contemporary or current in terms of poetry, art, and lyrical writing for A.D.H.D.ers. And number 10, again, to support younger people with ADHD. Sport again could be something that could give a purpose. Like I say, if ADHDers can travel to Italy from around the world, and those in Italy itself, and also those from around the world could travel and have a miniature World Cup, and also be involved in playing, but also get involved in coaching perhaps and things like that, the strategies and that. I think it could give a purpose to try and make time for Celtic and that. I think world class as well, working in Glasgow and Scotland, over town football clubs, national team and club teams, and Celtic FC work with ADHDers and ADHD organisations. But I think that would do a number of things for hopefully benefit time for Celtic and maybe LCFC a little bit as well. But another thing it will do is it will, I think, or it could hopefully make you feel part of a group, so you're not not alone, so to speak. Sometimes I like to be alone personally, but and maybe even ADHDers might do, especially if they have ADHD or whatever. But it make you feel part of a community basically, so you don't feel so alone. You feel like you're part of a group, and you can work towards similar goals. Also, it can give you a purpose. Come to think of it, so it can give you something to do, and also people, if you once again, if you're not good at school, it can give you something that you can lean on to, that you are good at, that you might get respect from your peers. It might hopefully stem some of the bullying or whatever maybe. And again, give a purpose and something to do. So I think that covers everything for now. I hope I didn't forget anything as usual, but I'm going to go for a walk, I think. Anyway, peace and love, and I'm out.